Welcome. Welcome. This is Pat with Racket String Tips. And I was recently going over some old footage from several years back, and I found this section of footage um, where Brad shared about his journey to becoming a certified racket stringer. And I think it's a good motivation, especially for those that maybe don't know why they want to be a stringer, or maybe they didn't love it at one time and maybe they've changed. Maybe you've changed and you're starting to like it, or you know what's the purpose in you becoming a racket stringer. So I wanted to share that today, so I cut that clip out, and I'm going to play it here. And I think this might resonate with some of you out there. And please, if you have a story about how you became a racket stringer, maybe your journey becoming a certified. Uh, doesn't have to be that you became certified, but that just kind of your journey of becoming, a racket stringer. And if you want to share that, you want to be on the show, I'd be happy to get you connected, and we could I could interview you. But anyways, I hope you enjoy, and let's see what Brad has to say.
I know that you had shared that initially, or when you first started, you didn't really like stringing. I mean, stringing wasn't something that you sought out to, hey, I'm going to be a racket stringer. It just was kind of out of necessity, perhaps, and maybe it was painful for you the first few years because it wasn't enjoyable. It was kind of like, oh man, I got to string some rackets. But now I understand that you.
Yeah, I feel that way sometimes. Please share your comments. I'd love to hear what your take on that is as well.
Recently got your master racket technician certification, which of course is going to help you with your local clientele and stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so well, it's been a long road. Probably, I'm 48 now, so probably when I was 13 or 14, my father bought I guess maybe whatever the $100 stringing machine was back in 1985. I had a brother who was 2 years older, and my father was hardworking. And how can we save a little money when we can save money? And it was through stringing our own rackets. So we learned how to string rackets. I was using Prince synthetic gut string. And eventually it started breaking pretty frequently, but you could get it for $2 a set. So it was fairly inexpensive to string. And one of the reasons I didn't like it is, part of it is I just didn't have a lot of time being in school and then playing tennis, and it would take me an hour and a half to string a racket. But I did it. I'd string mine, sometimes my brother's, my father's. And as I got older, I started stringing for a few other people here and there, making a few extra dollars. And then fast forward to, when I was 20 or so and started playing some of the satellite tournaments in 1996, I would actually put my Echelon machine, which was a hand crank. It had a base, and I'd separate the base, which was just really the foot stand, and throw it in the back of my Volkswagen and drive out to California. And I would end up being a stringer for a lot of the players. You may remember, like Jan Michael Gamble was playing these tournaments, Cecil Mamet, Doug Flack, Mark Merklin, Kevin Arias, Martin Blackman, a lot of good players. But I would, string for some of these guys. And so on top of playing the tournaments, I'd make a little extra money. I still didn't love stringing, but I also didn't love having no money. So I would string to make a few extra dollars. Eventually I stopped stringing and started becoming a hitting partner. I had a few ATP points in 1996 and 97 in singles and doubles. But it was just a struggle. I had a shoulder injury, and if I won one or two matches, my arm was pretty much dead for the third match. So as luck would have it for me, I had a friend who worked at a management company called Advantage International, and he was able to put me in touch with the lady in charge of the tennis players. And they represented, I remember, like Steffi Graf, amongst a few others. They were looking for a hitting partner for Yana Novotná. And so within a few days of contacting this lady at Advantage International, I was down in Boca Raton interviewing with Yana Novotná. and she ended up hiring me, and I spent about a year with her, practicing in Florida with her, going to maybe 8 or 9 tournaments with her. And then after a year with Novotny, I got a job with Venus and Serena for about 3 years.
Mhm.
And again, I would still string during this time, some of the time. Of course, if we were at a tournament, I was able to use the racket stringers. At the time, Jay Schweid, who did a lot of the he did the U.S. Open. He had the contract at the U.S. Open, and then some of the smaller tournaments, whoever was there would string my rackets. But when I was at Venus and Serena's house, they had a stringing machine on their patio, their screened-in porch, and so whenever I broke a string, I was able to string at their house.
I'm
Which
sure
was
I'm sure Richard was probably the one stringing the rackets, huh? Because I don't
he
think
may have been.
But,
I think I strung a few for the girls, but I don't remember who strung theirs. But I do remember still at the time, still not loving stringing and not paying much attention to anything other than I better just look at the pattern, cut it out, and then find the open holes. It wasn't till much later, and like you, after I kind of stopped hitting with Venus and Serena in 2001, I just kind of was a little bit tired of tennis, and I took about 7-8 years off where I didn't really pay attention to tennis. I didn't go to a tennis club. I didn't really do anything related to tennis until I had kids. And then as my kids started getting to the point where they could walk and run a little bit, I wanted to introduce them to tennis. And then eventually I wanted to introduce them to stringing, which is when I realized, well, maybe, even though I know how to string, maybe I should check out the United States Racket Stringers Association and see, maybe learn the right way. I'm sure there's some things that I don't know. So if I'm going to teach my kids, let me see about getting certified, which is what led me to getting my Master Racket Technician certification, just so I could teach my kids properly how to string.
Did they have, so as far as the Master Racket Technician, did they have like a place locally where you were able to get your certification? Because I know you have to reach out to, when you become certified, there has to be somebody that certifies you. So you need to, go on their website and find out somebody who's local that can connect you or meet with you, somebody who's like a certified certifier.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the big reasons that I did it. There was a guy in my hometown who probably lived 5 miles from me who I didn't know. And he was the certifier for the entire state of New York, and he lived 5 miles from me. And I contacted him, and he said, well, you better start studying, and you better study hard and quick, because I'm moving to Florida in about 6 weeks. So you can imagine, I just, you would think it would be an easy test. At least I was naive enough to think it would be an easy test. I've been around tennis my whole life, and at this point I'd strung probably 3,000-4,000 rackets. But there's a lot to the test, and it was really good for me being out of school for so long to really have to, just kind of buckle down and study hard. There's a lot of memorization, and there's a lot to it. And now that I passed, I really enjoy stringing, and I enjoy the process. And there's a lot of respect now that I have for the professional stringers.
Yeah, so I kind of ended a little abruptly there, but that kind of gave you an idea of as far as what motivated Brad, and what led to him becoming a certified stringer. Sometime I'll share my journey as well. I think I've probably shared parts of it on different videos. I hope that was motivating. I hope it was informative, and we'll see you in the next video.